That's not a knife. Now these are knives.
Hello collectors, it's Steven here with another review. This time I'm looking at NECA's Ultimate Striker Eureka. Ultimate figures are exactly what they sound like, the definitive version of a particular character, and after the absolute mess of the first Striker Eureka released by them, it's fitting it gets the ultimate treatment. But did NECA deliver? Well, let's take a look to see whether or not it's worth adding into your collection. Designed with the 18-inch version in mind, Striker is built off of the original 7-inch figure with updated paint and details to really make it stand out to be as screen accurate as possible. Of note, I no longer own the original 7-inch figure because it blew up thanks to the crappy plastic, so I can't do a side-by-side comparison for you. Alright, so getting into this, you can tell right away at the torso this thing looks great, with the con pod on the head painted a nice gold, the bulldog decal on the chest, and the panel lining on this Jaeger. This is included all over, and these small details beat the pants off of the original release. It also helps the old white paint was replaced with a tannish white on it, like an organic eggshell color. This is really prominent on the hands. It's also covered in the typical wash NECA uses on the Jaegers to weather them, but here it's kind of hit or miss. I find it to be a bit glossy and not the good kind. It kind of looks, for lack of a better word, grungy. What is impressive, though, are the small paint apps, like the red around the hip joints and the bicep, looking mighty nice. From head to toe, this Jaeger simply rocks. Ultimate Striker's articulation is very similar to the first release in that a lot of the joint constructions are very similar, and depending on how you move things around, it sort of feels like the joints are made out of the same material that the original Striker was made out of. However, with some key changes, this figure is pretty sweet to handle. Okay, so first off we have a ball joint for the neck. Great range of movement here. You can spin Striker's head pretty much all the way around if you wanted to. Actually, you can. Not pretty much. Rocks back and forth. Typical neck ball joint. Shoulders, identical to the original. We have the first joint here, which is the actual shoulder. Swivel hinge. Raise it up that high. Spin it around all the way if you want. You basically get ball joint movement, but it's not a ball joint. Be careful handling this because on mine, it feels relatively weak, and you can sort of already see here it's getting loose. I'm afraid it's going to snap like my original Striker did for both shoulders, but hey, we'll address that when it comes to it, so just be careful there. Then we have another hinge here for the shoulder pad, where the bicep connects right here, and it's good for raising Striker's arm up, like so. Can go up about that high, which is high enough. Same on both sides, as you should expect. Again, be careful here because this joint on mine, the one at the shoulder pad, very tight, and it feels gummy. You'll hear me use that word a lot throughout this review, and yeah, I don't want to break anything. So moving on down, right above the elbow, we have a swivel, which acts very well as a bicep swivel, and this is different from the original Striker, so yay NECA. Good job on that. It was much needed. And then we have your basic hinge for the elbow. Only one hinge, not double hinged, which is just fine for this Jaeger here. Moving on down again, for the wrist, we have a swivel, which was not on the original Striker, should have been. And then we have the hinge, which the original Striker had. Sting blades, very similar to the original, actually almost identical, because they are on swivels. They can pop out. However, when they retract, they go underneath instead of on top of this part here. I'm not sure what you would call that. The Sting Blade Bay. That's what I'll call it. Alright, so now we have the ab crunch, which is a ball joint. You get nice rocking movement here. You can sort of twist Striker here from side to side. However, you're not really going to get much use out of this joint unless you use it along with the waist joint. So this way you can turn Striker around, and then once you throw the head in there with the nice neck joint, yeah, Striker's gonna kick your ass, motherfucker. Alright, so now we're gonna move down to the hips after I readjust his head, and we have a hinge like the original Striker. Be careful, mine's loose, very loose. You can sort of see when I put the legs together, he immediately wants to squat. You don't need to see both legs, you just get the idea here. So be careful because the original was very problematic in having the exploding hips. Just handle it with care. Then, the hip joint plugs into the thigh on a swivel. As you can see here, you can spin the leg around, which again is a difference from the original Striker. We have single hinged knees which is alright. That's what the original Striker had. But what the original Striker did not have is a swivel which plugs into the thigh. So if you want to spin the lower portion of Striker's leg around, hey, you're able to do so. Moving on down, we have the ankles, in which they learned from Cherno Alpha, ball joints. Yes, nice ball joints, so you can get some ankle rocker movement out of there. Woo-ha! Yes, very, very, very good. So, overall, Striker is a very fun figure to move around. Dare I say it, on Bandai level, because I have some Super Robot Chogokins, which are awesome to handle, just like this figure. However, I have to stress this as much as I can. I think that these joints may see an issue in the future for breakage, but here's to hoping they don't break. Moving right along to the accessory, Striker Eureka comes with some awesome ones. Yes, first off, as you know, it's packing heat in the chest, so we get option parts to make that happen. Very simple. On the edges of the chest right here, all you have to do is pop your fingernail in and slowly work it out, like that. You can see that. You want to get Striker to pop this off. There you go. So this way, you get this alternate chest piece. Yeah, that little flap wasn't glued on properly. But anyway, this alternate chest piece reveals Striker Eureka's explosive boobies. All you gotta do is just line up the pegs with the holes in the chest. And then you have to act as NECA's quality control and then reattach this piece right here. Again, it's just glue. Not that big of a deal. And then just like that, Striker Eureka is ready to participate in Mardi Gras after it gets a few beads. But what's even cooler than this, we get 3 of these little missiles which plug right into the holes on the chest. And you can put them in any way you want. So I'll go ahead and show you how it's done real quick. So this way when you get Mutavore, you can display Striker Eureka firing off its rocket nipples at the kaiju if you want. So just like that, Striker Eureka is ready to take down some kaiju. Also of note in regards to the missiles for the chest, you can see that they're of different lengths. That is pretty cool. So this way it makes it look like they're firing at different times. Good old Striker Eureka here comes with one more accessory. And what might that be? The Payload featured at the end of the movie. Oops, spoiler alert. Yeah, as you can see, there's the nuclear symbol. Paint's alright, but what's really cool is each one of these little doodads, whatever they would be, is on a ball joint. So you can move them around if you really wanted to. Yeah, not much range, but hey, it's cool. It's novel. Way to go. Now, as you can pretty much see here, there's a hole on the back of Striker. Right there. And there's a peg on the Payload. Right here. So you'd think it's just super simple, easy, plug it in and be on your way, right? No, it's rather hard to do that. And I've actually seen some reports of people breaking this, hi Justin, just by simply inserting it in. So, here's what I would do. These back fins on Striker here are detached in the packaging, and you have to pop them on. So I suggest popping them off. Then, you'll notice here, where the peg is, there's this little divot up there. You'll notice right here, there's a little peg or something like that right here. So what you do, gently twist it in, don't force it, until it's as snug as you want it to be, and then reattach the back fins like so. And even then, the back fins can be a real bitch to pop in. So now Striker is ready to head towards the breach and blow the son of a bitch up. Woohoo! Now, if you're still having trouble attaching the Payload, hit the hole with a blow dryer and then slowly work it in until you have a nice Striker ready to blow its load. Though it's not truly an accessory, the last thing I would like to make mention of is the box for Ultimate Striker. It is bitchin', and it's very nice to have. I'm actually going to keep this one, unlike, the Otachi boxes that I tossed. So overall, I think all of the accessories we get with Striker here are nice, and there's really nothing else we could benefit from aside from some different hands. I mean, there are swivels on Striker's wrist now, so we do have the potential to swap out, but hey, the figure is very good as is. And rounding the corner for this review, we have the ever-so-needed size comparison with Striker Eureka, alongside some Godzilla figures from Bandai and NECA, and some other Pacific Rim figures. So, buy STROYA now, skip it, or wait for a deal. Indeed, NECA did a great job with this one, delivering on the ultimate name. Great articulation and accessories, along with nice paint apps and decals. Only thing missing here would be more hands, so this way Striker can, take more interesting poses. Something of concern, though, is that the joints are loose on mine. Others have reported this too, and I'm afraid we might see breakage reports in the future. Only time will tell. Just handle with caution. All in all, a solid release of Best Jaeger. I hope they don't stop here. Well, that's it for this video. Be sure to give it a like and be sure to subscribe. While you're here, why don't you go ahead and click on the thumbnails on the screen now? You'll be taken to some other awesome videos. Be sure to check the description for some neat links hand-selected by me. Thanks again, and I'll catch ya in the next video.